Uh, we apologize for starting late. Some of our members are not here. We were trying to give people a few minutes to get here, but we are going to officially start. Can we have the roll call, please?
Diana.
Yes. Here.
Oh, okay. I wanted to make sure I was not muted. Dr. Sinai.
Here.
Carolyn Castro.
Here.
And we are waiting for one more member to come in. And as you can see, we do not have a quorum tonight.
Carolyn, can you be the timekeeper? Okay. So unfortunately, we can't have elections tonight because we don't need quorum. So I'm just going to move down. Can each member introduce himself to the audience? My name is Dr. Tanaya. I am the co-president of CCSE, returning co-president. I have 6 children, 4 who have developmental variations. I'm from District 5 in Harlem, New York.
Good evening, I'm Diana Abrams. I have one son with ADHD in the 8th grade this year, and I'm in District 22.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carolyn Castro. I live in District 4 in West Harlem. I have one son whose classification is OHI and 2 brain children who are out of the school system.
We actually do have one more member. We have one of our public advocates. She's attending. She's on vacation this week, but she is attending via Zoom. So, Miss Reed, can you please introduce yourself? If she still can hear me. There she is.
Yeah, I can hear you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. My name's Tamira, and I'm a mother of a, wow, he's going to be in 7th grade. Can't believe it. Boy named Oliver, who has, been in, had an IEP since he was 2, 2.5. So it's been, one heck of a ride. And I am really happy to be one of the the public advocates. Appointees to this council, and I'm just really looking forward to doing some really good, deep work with all of you who I have lots of respect for. So thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Most of our meeting will be modified because we do not have quorum. So while we had to do our elections for this term, unfortunately, we'll have to put it off until September, until we get enough members. And so I'm going to move the agenda along. Carolyn will be our timekeeper. Do anyone have reports? We'll do reports, member and president. So anyone have any reports they would like to share?
I can share how it's frankly honest. So people may be aware that there's a possibility of a bus strike. So there is. Sorry, I just read that. Yeah, so there's a possibility that we're going to start the school year with a bus strike, which obviously affects tens of thousands of students, especially students in District 75. There's an action Saturday from PIS. To sort of protest the busing situation in general. So I know Heather Daly, who does the busing, is the head of the busing committee here. She would have some more things to add, but I just want us to have that on our radar. I think that's going to be a big issue for the start of the year, regardless of whether or not there is a strike. One of the things that we have been talking about, we talked about when we met with Sarah Caron, who's the head of PIS, is that whatever happens, this is just an amplification of what happens to District 75 students all the time. So for District 75 students, it's almost like there's a bus strike all the time because they, as we know from working on this council, often don't get to school on time. They're often not picked up with issues with bus hours, issues with dysregulation. This is a special education issue times 1,000, and then the District 75 issue times 10,000. So I'm hoping that we keep that on our radar. We'll pick that up from some advocacy. Any parents who are having busing problems, if you're not seeing busing in your NICSA account, I know there's an issue with non-public school parents not having access to NICSA. please email the inbox, the CCSE inbox, so that we can start collecting this information now. I think the way that we'll make the Department of Education address this is if we have the data. So, I'm hoping that we can start collecting, just what people's issues are, and we should really fix ourselves, because if there's a strike, it's gonna be a huge deal.
Thank you, Francine. Carolyn?
I just wanted to quickly, let the council know and the public that for the committee, the bylaws committee, we share documentation and suggested changes to bylaws. We can't go into detail right now because we don't want to fully discuss it. Tamora, I will make sure that you have that and welcome to the council. We're so happy to have you. But that will be on cue for the next meeting once we've got options that we can talk about the continuation of the budget committee and also the beginning of new committees that the council can have those two.
I just want to briefly give a remarks to this council. We had kind of briefly talked about starting a monthly meeting with the IEP reps from across the city in each district. And I believe about District 75 persons on that are placed on each council. I've spoken to a few in District 5, families, individuals who have been selected to be a part. I guess there's no real consensus on how they're supposed to function within their councils. And so one of the hopes I have tonight is that Division of Special Education, who is sort of supporting councils, can give us as a council a better idea of what is the purpose of these District 75 reps on these councils. I know some of the law or the writing of the regulations said that they're supposed to be there to be a voice for those particular families, but I'm not sure if that was specified in the training or not, and if not, if we can just get some information so that we can better support them as a council. I know that we will be working with the citywide for District 75 to be of support, and so my hope is in September, once we get quorum, we can vote on it so that we can start meeting at least no later than October with them to begin to just see what the issues are and how we can better support them and the Department of Education in serving our children with special needs and who attend schools in D75. Diane, I don't know if you have anything to share at this time. I know you.
Just if you don't mind, I want that I also had a conversation with the CCSE president. I see your messages with this. About the District 75 parent policy and the coaching time quality here, who's also on the CCD 75 council. The confusion particularly is with the assignment of the school liaisons. How do they go about selecting the schools in the districts? Are the schools aware that there is a new liaison for District 75? There's just a lot of ambiguity of the role and how the role is supposed to be carried out at the level. So I guess for September,
Okay, I'm gonna move along to this one moment. That's what I was. What I was going to state is on our agenda, it states that we're supposed to next go into our bylaws or unfinished business. But because we do not have quorum, what we're going to do is to introduce the Department of Education. John and
Before we do that, to some of the unfinished business, did you put me out with an additional vacancy or one that's after? Okay. So.
Hello, everyone. You folks hear me okay in the hybrid, in the virtual space?
We can't see you. Maybe sit by Sinai. Push it back some, yes.
There you go. Okay. Hey, everybody, my name's John Howard, Deputy Chief of Special Education in the U.S. Schools. Really excited and grateful to have a little bit of time to meet with everybody today. And to share some of the work that's happened this summer and some of what we're preparing for the fall. I know we're intending to come back in September and provide a more formal update. But I just wanted to start by congratulating our returning members. Very happy to see that this council remains in very good and capable hands with leadership that is pushing this work forward. I'm very grateful to have these partners. To our new members, both here in person and in the virtual space, I want to say a big congratulations. Very much looking forward to working with you both. And just want you both to know that I know that you already feel this, but you were in great hands with this council, and I know that we have some vacancy issues to work through, and I'm very grateful for some folks that are sitting behind me here today that are already ready, willing, and able to step forward, and that's what makes working in special education so great. Is really the passionate folks who help me push this work along, and so we're very grateful to have you all as partners. Very excited for the school year as this year. Just wanted to share a couple updates. First on Summer Rising. You know, I think overall we were able to wrap up a pretty successful summer, and there was, you know, as always, there's some hiccups, but I just wanted to share that our office was able to visit really remarkable over 200 Summer Rising sites to check in and ensure that appropriate supports, the accommodations plans have been developed, appropriate supports were in place, not only during the educational portion of the day, but during the CBO-led portion of the day. We're able to identify, I think, pretty quickly in most cases, instances where CBOs may have needed a little bit more training, and we're able to provide that either through our ASD&S team or through our superintendent's teams. And you know, I think we also were able to identify ways that we can strengthen this process next year. I think we make good progress every year in informing folks around the need to plan for accommodations, but we continue to have work to do there. So it's getting that plan out there earlier next spring. It's ensuring that we're following up with schools to ensure that these accommodations plans make their way to the principals in charge in the summer. And it's working with our principals in charge and our superintendents to make sure that they're being reviewed and supports are being proactively planned in advance of the start of school. And again, you know, not perfect, but I think that we make progress every year in Summer Rising, and I think that we're on our way to continue to strengthen it. Happy to share that our SEED program, our sensory gym program, continued over the summer. We operated at 7 sites throughout the city, including 2 sites in District 75 schools. Able to serve 300 students in total this summer, with families continuing to report positive experiences through the SEED program. Very excited that we'll be continuing SEED in the fall, and also just want to acknowledge and share with the council that this is a stimulus funding program, one that we are very real risk of losing funding for after stimulus funding runs out. Summer Youth Employment Program. I'm happy to share that around 1,500 students participated in SYEP this summer, across 150 work sites. That's a 50% increase in support for students with disabilities as compared to previous years. Indication to me that we are building back from the pandemic and have more kids getting access to some youth employment, which is, you know, something that we're very excited about. Looking forward to September, you know, one of the big things that we are planning for is the opening of new ASD&S, Horizon, PATH, iRead, and AIMS specialized programs. We were super grateful for this administration's investment, around $51.8 million in these specialized programs for the fall. And I think this is going to be the biggest expansion that we've had in one fall since we've gained it, if not ever. This is going to increase our capacity for students with autism by over 10%, which is 1 year. And we now have capacity for more than 3,700 students in ASD&S and Horizon, which, you know, is continuing to make improvements there. I also want to share we are opening an Ames program in District 29 school, and folks here on the council are likely aware of District 15 School 958, which opened last fall, which was our first Ames program with the New York City Public School. We did that through the innovative school design process. This program is really the first instance of it, the superintendent's coming forward and saying, I'd like to serve students in Ames.
Can you just say what Ames is?
Yeah. So Ames is a program for students with more significant end of the autism spectrum. These are students that is student profile, student would likely have been in District 75, 6 to 1-on-1 classroom, likely with the support of a 1-on-1 paraprofessional for to support the communication behavioral needs. And really what this program model is intended to do is it's intended to provide cushioning supports within the classroom. And I think one of the things that Christina and I saw in our time in District 75 is we saw very often students being taken out of the classroom setting in order to receive the individualized supports, so speech, occupational therapy. And really what this program seeks to do is provide those supports within the classroom environment in a very structured and intentional way. We have the model is 6 students, 2 teachers, one being a special education teacher, the other being a speech language pathologist, speech teacher, working together with the classroom paraprofessional and part-time occupational therapists within the classroom. All staff are trained in the tenets of verbal behavior to help support communication development. And students get access to small group and individual attention through the program. So expansion of district school is something we're very excited about. The program itself is also supported by a BCBA, board certified behavior analyst. That is certified to support behavior change. So something we're very excited about. I'm excited to see these supports within district schools, right? Because we know that the training and support that for this class are supports that can be shared across the entire district. District 29 school thing. We're very excited for what this could be in the future. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Can I get one more plug in before I go? Very excited. Our CAT program supports students with emotional disabilities and other behavioral challenges. This was a relatively new program we launched, I think, 2 years ago at the elementary school level. And we were able to secure funding for this through through partnership with the New York Community Trust. We found that the elementary school program was successful through this pilot, and we secured funding internally to expand that program. And very, very excited to say that late in the spring, we were able to secure additional funding through New York Community Trust for our first middle school program. And so we're opening up our first middle school path program in District 9 in September. And so doing a lot of planning for that now, and going to wrap our arms around that project. Because we see more and more students struggling with social and emotional needs, so this is going to be really important. And we really want to see this successful at a school level. We want to continue this partnership with New York Community Trust and see what we can do at high school and beyond. Because it's very important work that we have to do. And again, this is an inclusive classroom. This is a reduced class ICP type environment. We took what we learned from ASDS and modified it a bit to serve the student population, and really are encouraged by what we see. And then just finally, Francine said earlier, we're going to planning and preparing for a potential bus strike, and hoping that we won't be there in September, but absolutely planning, preparing as if we may be. Our office has been through a crisis before too, with folks' leadership that was led through the pandemic and has led through school reopening and staffing shortages. Our leadership structure who will be here to lead through whatever challenges may be ahead. Christina has been very clear to me and to our leadership within the special education office that it was all hands on deck if it should happen. If this means that we're opening up phone lines to families all day to ensure that they are aware of all of the processes and whether that's reimbursement, whether that's rideshare, whether that's MetroCard, to get their children to and from school. We're gonna be there to support the DOE as a whole. There's a lot of preparing and preparation, and all offices very closely involved in all of that. And just want to, make sure that folks are aware that this is on our radar. And if this does happen, we're gonna need to partner with you and we're make sure that families get access to the information they're gonna need in order to navigate this. I know that the DOE is going to be doing a lot to make it available to parents, but we know, right, through our experience, that sometimes things don't always trickle down, and that's where the partnership here becomes very, very important. That's it for me. Happy to come back. Happy to take a couple of questions, and just also wanted to share a quick one back in September with more updates.
So thank you so much, John, for sharing. I have a few questions. So the new Nest and Horizon program that you guys have started, how do we as members get to visit these programs? Maybe at the start of the new year, once school has started and they're laid out, I really would like to visit some of these programs to see how they are starting and how they're coming about. The other question about Summer Horizon, is great to hear the success stories, but one of the things in my district that I faced over the summer, being an early child educator, is a lot of those pre-K students who are housed in your Department of Education buildings, they didn't have summer programs for those kids. And so I had created a summer camp for little people, just because a lot of those families had no place to take them. If you know a lot about the USD, a lot of their programs are the camp start at kindergarten. Kids who are kids who are in kindergarten and going to first grade usually have to be 5. So kids who are 4, there are only a few camps that do service those kids, and it can be very expensive for families to attend those programs. So I know that you guys said you were thinking about ways to make the program better. If you're going to serve children inside of DOE buildings and create this sort of Summer Horizon program, there needs to be a thought and consideration for those 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds that you have placed in these DOE buildings. Because often what happens with the community-based programs is they're serving their own kids over the summer in the daycares and NICET programs. So those families who have chose to elect to not attend those programs and go to a DOE school, then their children are often without any type of service for the summer. So that may be whether you provide a grant or support for outside programs like daycares that close over the summer to provide a Summer Horizon for those kids. But we should critically think about that, because they are housed in a lot of our DOE buildings across the city, and those families are then scavenging around trying to get childcare for the summer, because they're not in a NICET program. And the last thing, the SEED program, I know that Nava had did a lot of work around SEED and talking about expanding SEED. Would love to know when you said that the SEED program is going to possibly lose funding as a result. Is there any steps that we as parents can take to support to keep that program alive? And if DOE can give us some information, because I would hate to see the program disappear and then at the 19th hour, because we as a council can probably work on whether it's campaigns or whatever it is we need to do to figure it out. But I think it is a program that has really supported families and we think it's great. Is there a way that we can be a better support to keep that program alive in some sort of way? And then I'll open it up. I know Francine has questions. So
Yeah,
sure. So first, thank you for all of that, and absolutely yes on ASCS visits in the fall or late fall or early winter. Just want to reiterate that you're more than welcome to come tour with us. Any of our expanding kindergarten ASCS programs, which will be District 7, District 8, District 10, District 9. I'm sorry, District 11, not 9, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 24, 27, and 29. For ASDS, and ASD provides in kindergarten programs, which will be in Districts 8, District 9, District 10, District 12, District 24, 2 in District 27, and 28. And again, our English program is in District 29. So happy to reach out. I'm happy we can help coordinate something powerful with CCSE. On the summer rising, I think you're right on this. My understanding is that the UIC contracts are school agent contracts, and I think you make a lot of good points around how it is that we're preparing for, our 3K and our pre-K kiddos and supports they receive over the summer. That is one I will take back to the nearly summer rising team. But I hear you on that. And then the third one, yes, I think there's a lot this case council can do, and a lot that we need to do more broadly in advocating for programs that we think continue. I mean, my understanding is a lot of 3K is stimulus funded. We have C that is stimulus funded. We have Summer Rising that is importantly part stimulus funded. So there are going to be a lot of very difficult conversations that are going to be happening over the course of this year in order to prioritize what should remain and how we're going to identify funding for these programs. There's a lot of funding through stimulus for preschool special education as well, and so I'm very happy to work with you all to better understand, to share more about things that we want to prioritize. We want to bring Christine into that conversation and better understand what it is the council wants to prioritize. On dyslexia sweeteners, that work is stimulus funded. So we got to really kind of like get around here. We're advocating for, prioritizing, and then very clearly and clearly communicate those priorities to us.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah, I have a few questions as well. Just quickly, summarizing, you said you visited 200 sites. Can you tell me how many sites there are in summarizing?
We'll have to get
Okay.
that, but and not me personally.
Right. And I appreciate what you said about addressing some of the accessibility issues that came up with additional training by CBOs. I know that we had some people come here, even in the last couple of meetings, to talk about accessibility issues. The accessibility issues that happen in summarizing CBOs tend to also carry over to the accessibility issues that affect students in after-school programs during the school year. So what I'm wondering is if it's great that it's sort of the new all, whatever that was, we'll be able to troubleshoot the problems, but we're really wondering if we can just be more proactive instead of reactive, right? I thought that's my model for this year. And can we maybe have an opportunity to discuss what the issues that arose were, some of the things parents about us, what you saw, some of the things that we know consistently happen year after year in after-school programs, as well as rising, and maybe start to address that training earlier rather than while it's happening. The seed program, I was also thinking about Nava, and I know a lot of the work she did was to increase seed in the upper grades. And so I'm just wondering, of those 7 sites that you mentioned, are any of those for older students, or are those all beginning? Right, did you say those
I
7?
believe the summer was elementary.
Oh, so that was just, but in general, are there seed programs?
Absolutely.
You know how many?
I can get you the numbers of my programs, but we definitely have multiple high school programs.
Great. And then SYDP, it was great. I mean, it's a great program. I'm happy to hear that so many students are taking advantage of it. We also had a discussion here about some of the inconsistencies around students who have to attend summer school, students who are 75, students who have to make choices between SYDP hours and academic work that they have to do. In District 75, those people have a choice on 12-month programs. And so I know at the site that my son was located at, midway through the program, they changed the rules, and so they weren't being paid for the whole day anymore. That wasn't true across schools, and so I brought up issues about students who are in summer school and also having student those choices. So I'm wondering if we can address that inconsistency, but not in a way where people lose, but in a way where more people are able to collect their own chips, right? Because especially the 75 students, they're in school with that program, and a lot of them are doing SYDP at the school where they are doing some programming. And last year it was okay, and this year for some students it was, and other students.
I appreciate all that, Francine, and I think, made good points on how we can be a little bit more intentional about continuing the partnerships that we've formed with the YCD in order to support students in after school, and we will, my commitment is to, reach out to the YCD and help ensure that that is facilitated for the fall.
I appreciate that. I have a couple moments.
Okay,
I'll ask them quickly. The ASC Nest expansion, is very exciting. I'm really excited about that. I'm wondering, you mentioned kindergarten programs, is it only expanding in kindergarten or is it expanding across grades?
okay, just before we go there, I don't want to lose sight of the SYU.
Oh, yeah.
Is that, that's an issue that I'm actually not too aware of, and so I want to better understand what's going on there, and we can talk about it.
Great. Absolutely.
There we are also exploring the middle school. Maybe do you have any other questions?
I do. The. So I have two questions that I just want to throw out there that I are long-term questions that I'm hoping we can discuss. I know the the PATH program, they came to do the presentation for us at the end of the year. It seemed really amazing, reminding me similarly of when we discussed the ASD Nest program, where a lot of what we see is not really specifically like this is good for autistic kids, or this is good for kids with emotional disability, but it's like this is good for kids. And so one of the questions we had asked when they came to see us was, these programs start in kindergarten, it's very, very low grade. What happens when the kids are in, especially the PATH program, where it seemed like they were being taught to regulate themselves and have a lot of autonomy in how they regulate themselves in the classroom in ways that are not necessarily going to translate to other classrooms. So as they move up to the grade, how do we ensure that consistency? We're teaching them these tools, right? How do we ensure that they are, that those, what is a tool in a PATH classroom doesn't become a discipline issue in another classroom? So I wanted to just throw that out in a long-term question. And then the other long-term question I have is that I know PCCA is very popular, but it's also very controversial, especially with the autism community. And so I'm just wondering if there's ever going to be any initiative within the DOE to think about, I won't say alternatives because that always gets me in trouble, although I wish it was alternatives, but there are additional things that work within, that are not ADA, right? I'm just wondering if there is ever going to be an initiative for some other alternatives. There are a lot of people who speak about that. I don't expect you to.
Well, let me just, I just wanted to say there that that is something that is very much on Christina's radar, and something that she feels very passionate about is really understanding and engaging multiple different perspectives on supporting students on the autism spectrum. And I think it's something that she's spoken directly to our vendors, supports Weekend, for example, who supports our Horizon program, to make sure that they're incorporating, all of the multiple perspectives and all of the training that they are providing. It's something that they're committed to working with us on, which we're excited about. And I think here is just yes, Francine, we want to continue to explore that.
I'm really happy to hear that.
I don't.
One last.
Okay, you go. I don't want to get all the answers, but you go.
My very last question was just, and again, I don't expect you to have a full answer right now, but we had done an AT pilot with the Harvard School for high school students, and I just want to make sure that we start reviewing that on our radar. And then elementary school. And then it's
All right.
okay, and that's it.
All right, so let's start with middle and high school expansion for ASD programs. We are opening a new middle school program at Montreal Community School. That's a NEST program. All right, very cool. That's 8X467, and also a PS 128 and District 24. That's a Horizon program. ASD Nest will also be opening at the high school, the Cobble Hill High School of American Studies. That's 15K 519. The Cultural Academy of Arts, ASD, and I'm sorry, going too fast. ASD Nest at 15K 519. That's Cobble Hill School of American Studies and FDR High School in District 20. ASD Horizon will be opening at Cultural Academy of the Arts and Sciences, 18K 629. and Origins High School, 22K, 611. And also for Cleveland High School in District 24.
Great, I'm happy to.
And I think, Francine, I think just going back to your point about proactively planning for transition. Our goal, this was an interesting year, honestly, for me, because I learned a lot about, and heard a lot from advocates and stakeholders around the need for, to inform families earlier of where, I guess, the middle schools and high schools would be. And it gave me an opportunity to really start digging into the data here to see, like, where are these kids going? And we found there are a lot of students that are transitioning to high performing high schools, for example, where ASTS programs may not currently be. And I had a lot of good conversations with Michelle around how we were being intentional around transitioning all of the skills that the students have learned into whatever environment is their next step. And so I think that ASD programs, I think, largely do that very well. And I think that you are 100% right to say that our PATH programs need to be intentionally designed in the same way. And that's one of the reasons why we push so hard with the Fund for Public Schools and helps, we got the help from U.S. Community Trust to launch the middle school program now. Because we know we got to start getting folks trained and prepared, because I think we have kiddos moving out to grades 2 and 3 in our elementary PATH program. We're trying to be very intentional about helping them to support that bridge, and hope that this middle school program will be successful. And in a couple of years, we'll be talking about high school, if not sooner. And then let's see my last one. Harbor School. Yeah, things are going well on the Harbor School front. We had staff. We had staff at the site a couple of weeks ago. Met with the principal. Started doing a little bit of planning. Came back. We're going to identify some funds. Getting a lot of the chance to come down on this one. It's a big priority for her, and she's made that clear to our team. And we met with the STEAM group, the STEM group the other day to talk about how we can embed this into the Algebra for All program that's happening at Harbor School. And so we're starting to do some of that planning, and we need to get time on to talk to you about that very soon. And around what's working plan for the fall. The elementary school pilot, we got a little bit more work to do there, Karen, but it's not that conversation.
Thank you for all of
Does anybody else feel that?
my question is really not for you to answer tonight, but to follow the message. It's more to think about and how we can better provide services for students, for other students and the other students. And this year, we're facing a lot of this population because the issues that they are experiencing varies greatly. But I think that in reminding itself of the data that came up last year, a lot of services are happening to be reminded. So we have a subset of population of students who are coming in, we deal with who have English as a second language, languages, same class, of communities covered in. Now we're learning that this is some supports. So that's not my conversations. With all of the things I'm talking about, how we're looking to provide supports.
Very open to that conversation, Caroline. It's a priority to share. One of the specialized programs doesn't get spoken about enough is valuable special education. We are expanding those programs as well. We're opening up an additional 600 seats to offer instruction in Spanish and Mandarin. As recommended on the IEP, so a lot of new classes opening up on that front as well. This one is we really need to. It's one that you're absolutely right. We pay a lot of attention to, right? And we're kind of in that space where we want to make sure that comprehensive service plans are properly developed for kids that are coming with disabilities. That supports are immediately put in place. we want to make sure that interventions are properly put in place for students that may be struggling due to the fact that they're acquiring English language in their first time in the city public school setting. And so really the trick here is making sure that schools know how to get supports in place, at what point this is could be a disability or that would require special education evaluation. And we need to get rid of that and support out to schools to help them to partner with families to provide support quickly and in a way that's going to be sustainable. So that's yeah.
So I want to also leave something else for you to think.
Yeah.
It's okay. When I was a CEC president of District 5, one of the things I did a lot of advocacy around charter schools. And because they were expanding in my district so rapidly, it was really forcing a lot of unforeseen issues in our local public schools. And so part of the issue we noticed that was making it hard for families to even understand what public schools offered was a lack of branding. And so one of the things we did as a CEC was we created a preschool school fair where we allowed our elementary schools to actually advertise themselves and give information about who they are, what they did, so that families who was looking at school would think about public school in District 5 versus charter schools immediately or private schools. Because our public schools had such a bad rap over the years of just being underfunded and so many negative things happening in them. And as a result of that, it really turned our community around, and now our public schools are more sought out, or just as sought out as the charter schools in the district. And so, in listening to you talk about these different new programs that we have and you're starting, I just would hope that when you start the season for tours and middle school, high school, and elementary school fairs for families to learn about the local district schools, that these schools will also have a separate table so that families who have children with special needs in those districts will know that there is a new NEST program in my community, that there is a new Horizon program, and here's what they're doing. And maybe thinking about that now to work with those principals, to think about their branding and what they're trying to offer, so that families who have children with special needs are not always relying on the Committee on Special Education to direct them to a school, but that they should be able to go to a school fair and learn about schools that support children with special needs or different variations, just like any other parent goes, and that we should try to be more inclusive and including them in the fairs that we have. Because if we want to create an environment that is more inclusive, I think that is one of the places we should start thinking. And so I hope you can take that back. And I don't mind being a resource and helping on how we did that in our district, but it did change how people saw district schools. So hopefully we can get that same change for these schools that have specialized programs for children with different variation needs.
I couldn't agree more. And I think one of the things we didn't talk about tonight is we do expect that some of the recommendations from the Special Education Advisory Council will come through sometime early fall, September, October. I think that, I think many of us here are aware, but maybe there was a specific council meeting that was really did a lot of work around how we can better engage families and community around the good work that's happening. And you're right, just this morning or this afternoon, Christina was on a panel at CCSE, where she spoke about the fact that there was 70,000 students going through 3K, UPK, everybody in New York City middle, and we have 185,000 students with IEPs in New York City public schools, but you might have to come to a CCSE to hear about ASD Nest and Horizon programs, and really pushing the fact that we need to raise awareness of these high quality programs right here in our district schools. So families don't have to see charter or private. I think you're 100% right. And one of the things that was encouraging to me on this front, last night we listened in on that, and our first deputy chancellor, in his opening remarks, he was summarizing school visits stopping to the CCSE, District 75 program, and was really impressed with the work that he saw. So I do feel very grateful and fortunate that also the leadership here, Chancellor Banks, First Deputy Chancellor Weisberg, are getting out into these programs, and they are speaking about that publicly, which I think is so important to the work that we're trying to do.
I'm just thinking, maybe this council can work on doing a school fair for families in District 75. Maybe that can be something we can do with District 75. To have a co-school fair, citywide for children with special needs or variations for families, just to see what great programs that are across the city that their kids can probably take a part of, so that families don't seem so disenfranchised when it comes to dealing with children who really have special accommodation that's needed. Okay.
Do you not want to take?
You just took the words out of my mouth. I wanted to open the floor to the public, to see if anyone had any questions for John. I guess taking 10 minutes. Yeah.
There's a question behind you from Mark. Yeah, you have to write the better one. Yeah,
going on the state with all these new schools programs. Right now, the only place I know to get that, put it in 1 week. And that is, in like youth guys, I can guess on the or place with the deal, what's called a loan for that, right, games, all these great programs. And it becomes a great issue with 26. And as a parent, unfortunately, can be another week critical. And while I know a lot of people, I don't know. Maybe another spot they're actually gone way here to the next number of schools. Let me tour them all. I know they're going to 20, 30, 20 schools, and then seeing about 25 schools. But I know there's more I didn't get to. And I think that still can be missing is, and it ties with the comments here. We have a great program in the DOE and in the city, and get no problem about it. And yet we hear from even more, it's about how you make it program that there's a program. Well, we don't hear as much about our movement program that we talk to. They're not listed to be earlier. You have to be in knowing it, you know you can make it. And we try to get to the point we publicize the website, we're going to school care. You know, Manhattan DB Council had a community care 3 months ago. And we had MTA there, we're not DOE, right? We had a private school there, the CCSE every year in October has a special education fair and all of these non-public and private schools. I still left after 10 years ago with I never see the DOE this meeting. And I think that really is powerful is possible with the school fair. Even I took my son to Manhattan Facebook there was one but that's on a lot of schools there, but no one talk about that. There's a riot and whatever. Nothing much something talk there. Okay, we look at the ask and then go in and talk to Harvard and we go get up and the difference. But it's not easy for the parent, community member. It's not easy to get to that. We need to get to the point to see what's easy to find this information and not need to be in the know or know to talk.
I couldn't agree with you more. We do have a lot of work to do on this file. I think, I think just simply saying it's on the website as a first step, I don't think that's obligated. Right. Folks into the normal affairs, now that we are, this is work that can make a lot of progress in pre-pandemic. And now that we're really back, it's time to start focusing on this again. And I think we can connect with those students to make sure that we start using the plan, just, the whole eyes. And I think more broadly, there's a lot of conversations that we've been having and all the actions to the advisory councils, how we can make this easy for families. And it's not just families, it's our staff. It's our school psychologists, our teachers. They have to know this information. They're overnight. It's you have to be able to identify the students' needs and be able to mention programs and just might want to consider that might be the most things that we have. And so we're doing a lot of thinking about that right now. And in response to what we heard from the advisory council, I think there's definitely space that we can strengthen in the future and want to continue the conversation.
Hi, Diana Abrams. I just wanted to say to that point, we have those workshops that, like the parent coordinators let us know about within the Department of Education. So maybe one of those workshops throughout the year could be kind of like the information to let us know about those programs.
And I can help us with that. Thank you.
Do we have any?
Yes.
Elizabeth, can you unmute yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Hi. I appreciate the option to be hybrid and be able to cook dinner and be able to be here with you all at the same time. So thank you for doing that. I'm a new CEC member in District 21, and I have another CEC member, a couple actually from District 21 here with me. So just curious to get your feedback on, as we're planning, many of us are new members, for a special education committee at the district level. Just curious as to how we can connect to get information with the special education office and then also with the CCSE, sort of like what the preferred route of outreach and communication may be, if there's ever like an interest to connect or raise issues, etc. So that's just one question. And then I had another sort of comment slash flag slash question on the Turning 5 process, but just wanted to raise that first one as a new CEC member, and in case there are others on the call, that if there were any guidance as to connect for work that we're doing at the district level, if you had any information that you could share with us on that front.
So one of the things this council is working on, unfortunately, we don't have a quorum. Unfortunately, we don't have quorum to kind of make it official, but we have been discussing for a little while that come September, hopefully by October, we will actually have a monthly meeting that we will do with all members from CECs across the district for the IEP person or that District 75 representative who will be able to come to a meeting with us and be able to get feedback, get support, get some sort of help. Just in terms of being former president of the local CEC District 5, and we had a special education committee. One of the things I could say to you is that you need to, when you guys are meeting, think about what are the priorities for your children in your district with special needs, and then once you figure out what the priorities are, and sometimes one of the things we did was we did a survey with principals. Where we went to principals and said, what are some of the concerns or the issues you're finding with providing the services for children with special needs, or just a lack of, and you need to be addressed and you need some support with. And then we as a council came together and chose 2 or 3 of those things, because of course there's always a lot of issues to then focus on within our term to try to bring support to the families in the district, but also to those schools in the district, strengthening that connection between Tweed and the local CEC. So if that is of some information I can just share with you in terms of how you can structure or support your own special education committee. But we as a council will be working with all CEC, at the local level, trying to have a monthly meeting to really address issues where we can then take that to, Tweed to help us with addressing them, whether it be in the local district or just in general, or maybe something across districts that we're all are facing, trends that we see that we want to address. So look forward to our next meeting in September. Hopefully we will have quorum so that we can then vote on the committee and those meeting dates. And then, as I stated earlier, my hope is that by late September, early October, we will have our first meeting. I don't want the school year to get too far in where we can't connect, because once you lose that sort of connection, it's really hard to gain it back.
Can I just add, you might just add, last one. Once we have one and we are able to go over the ability, another goal, just adding to the new is that we would like for our IEP parents and our disabled parents to build relationships in addition to the superintendent, so we have a sort of harmonious communication between the three groups. And also, those meetings will not be required to be in person because they are meetings we can actually have on Zoom. And we encourage that. We like that because we feel like we'll get more attendance that way. But it is a strong initiative of ours to be supports for the local CBC parents by having this meeting. So I really hope that you can share that with any other district members district members inside your neighboring community so that they don't want to show.
Elizabeth, I just want to jump in and say congratulations on serving on the CEC and thank you for your willingness to be a parent leader and a parent leader who was here to support students with IEPs and represent the needs of students with IEPs in District 21. I think that's something to be very much committed, and we appreciate you being here tonight. My colleague Andre Mitchell, our office's director of family empowerment, shared some of his contact information in the chat. You should email Andre and he will share some information with you that I think is very important for you to be aware of and these you can share with the families that you represent. First, he'll share the links to our Beyond Access series. These are online professional tailored to families. Anything from supporting students with behavioral challenges to navigate the IEP process. Typically trainings that can be shared openly to families across your district. Second, he will share with you the link to our family guide on special education, which is kind of a soup to nuts guide on how to work with your school through the special education process. And third, he'll share the link to our public reports on the provision of special education services. The Department of Education reports regularly on the provision of special education programs, related services, and annually on the provision of timely evaluations. And that information is publicly available by school district, by superintendent, by school, and that information is the links to those reports will be shared with you by Andre. It's good information for you to be aware of. It can help have some really good conversations with superintendent about what's happening in schools. I'm happy to report District 21 is doing better and better every year. I think with your support, we can get District 21 to all students fully receive.
Okay.
One last thing I just wanted to flag, I'm sorry, is just for the turning 5 process. There was an email that was sent out recently sort of soliciting feedback, I guess, from parents about the naming or transition to shift the naming of that process. And just in general, just wanted to flag that I think some of the feedback that we heard is that folks were asking if there's actually going to be an option at some point to provide feedback on the process. So I just wanted to put that out there. I don't know if there is some type of engagement that will happen as like a phase 2 of that, if there's going to be an overall like revamping. And if not, I think that might be a nice thing to do. I sat in on a couple of meetings about enrollment, the elementary, middle school, high school process. And, we're just representatives of some of the smaller voices that we hear. And so just trying to advocate that for those who have access to all the parents who engage in these systems or go through these processes, that, some type of like postmortem on getting feedback on what was clear, what wasn't, can be very helpful, and having sort of options to provide. I know it's not as clean and can sometimes get murky, but having options to provide feedback in sort of like a, text box can be very helpful, because some of the glitches or issues that people encounter sometimes are not sort of captured by those questions, that are a little bit more sort of like fit into a bucket of like, satisfied to not satisfied. And so just wanting to sort of air that to see if that might be something that's coming. And if not, just wanted to share that it's, for parent engagement, and then telling you, like, in a new role like this, it's like good to be here, but you want to use your time and be able to make an impact in a meaningful way. And I think that allowing folks to be able to give that type of feedback would make them feel a little bit better. So I just wanted to raise that. I'm not sure if it's been on your radar, but that did come up in the last few weeks.
Absolutely. Elizabeth, when you do connect with Andre, he'll set you up with our Turning 5 team. And we'll set aside some time to discuss your feedback with them directly.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I'll reach out. Thank you so much.
And that survey, we had 1,600 responses, and we've heard from parents for years now that the Turning 5 process is not the most welcoming transition into kindergarten. And so we're really trying to think a little bit differently about how we can really communicate this transition to families and strengthen the process. And so I think we're very open to your feedback here on things that we can do better. And Andre, we should have set some time up with you to talk to the team directly.
In regards to that, one of the things I would like to say also is, really would love to have the state who funds our early intervention, who kind of is supposed to lightly hand them over to our local school district. And they do a very poor job at doing that at times, especially when families are transitioning out of early intervention into elementary school, for the Turning 5, whether it be for our 2-year-olds going to 3-year-olds to pre-K. I want to be mindful of that too. As you have kids transfer from pre-K into kindergarten, there is also this sort of issue that we face with kids who are 2 turning into pre-K 3. And it's not always being an easy transition for those families. And so I don't know, I would assume the early childhood division deals with both, but making sure that we think about that also critically, because I have a lot of families who cannot get their services are just dropped. And then kids are entering 3K programs with no services who really need to continuous service. Even though the state says they will continue it, those providers that serve early intervention does not always serve the Department of Education as vendors. So families are left without services.
Yeah, I think we did see a large increase in the number of students coming through the special education process this year at the preschool level. And while we've increased supports at the CCSE, including additional CCSE administrators, additional itinerary and service providers, we continue to have work to do on that front, and it's something that's very much at the top of mind. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, moving forward, I know. We are now moving into our vacancies. As you know, we have several great vacancies on our council, and we do have some candidates here today. I'm going to ask the candidates if they would come.
Can we officially announce the additional vacancies?
I'm going to call them in alphabetical order.
Okay. What I thought, if that's what you want to do, what I thought to do was have them and deal with the vacancies that we're dealing with, and at the end before we announce the last. But if you want to do that, you can do it. That just announce it. You've already said it, so let's just announce that.
So we have, originally had 2 vacancies for members of the citywide council. We have an additional member has vacated their seat, so we now have 3 vacancies. As well as the citywide council on high school appointee and our student representative. I just want to let you know that it is,
I know, it's one online and then there's 2 in the building, right? Okay. If you wanna announce their names, Carol, you can.
Are you speaking to me?
No, I'm speaking to Carol and I'm asking
Oh.
you to announce the name, not you,
I
though.
just want to highlight, I'm gonna highlight 91st because I see them, we have Matthew Sanchez in the audience. And we have Mark Gonzalez, we have Carmen Figueroa and Benedict's. I guess if we're doing alphabetical better.
Yes.
So what we're gonna ask is we're gonna just ask you, we're going to ask the person to come up to the seat so that the people online can see you. And if we could just sit here. And we will ask a few questions. Welcome. So, I guess if you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and, information. So that those online.
You have to,
You have to use your button.
okay, my name is Carmen Figueroa. I was previously in CC7. I was a president. I was a trainer there. I had a SLT role as well as school, middle school and elementary school. And president of the parent association as well. I've been involved with the students tonight. I have 3 children, one was especially with IEP and 9 grandkids and 2 IEP grandkids. Yes.
That's very much.
So just to reiterate, you're introducing yourself, and I think there's a statement about, I guess, why you want to apply, you want to share something about yourself. This is your opportunity to share the rest of the parents.
I want to because I like to advocate for children, not only my children or my grandkids. I like to advocate for all the children, all our kids there. Not even just the children, their parents as well. Educate them for what it means, what it, what they get into, what the kids into. I like to advocate. It's great.
Do anyone have questions for her? Anyone online has a question for her?
And I don't think else is
I know, but if we're gonna open it up.
I have a sort of a statement, given the climate that we are, I think this is our second or third meeting that we haven't met for. I just want to reiterate to all the candidates, the importance of showing up in person. This is a dedicated group of parent advocates here that show up all the time, like we do have to have one that doesn't assume anyone who doesn't. Thank you all for applying, thank you as well, but I just want to reiterate the importance of showing up and being in this hybrid model under our bylaws, school community work after members from the so very much yes.
I've been a CC member since 2014, 15, and 2 Dutch. So I know the responsibility, I have to do meetings, I'm always in my meetings, so it won't be a problem.
So one of the things about the citywide is that we travel to all 5 boroughs. Unlike the local CEC, where you can travel within your district, this council will have to travel different places, which can be a bit of a challenge in cold months. And so I thank you, Karen, for expressing the importance. But one of the things I want to say is that, it is imperative that we show up because there's so many things on the line that we need to do. And when people don't show up, it really impedes our ability to move forward. And so I know that that's an issue across councils across the city, that people, they lack quorum, but when you don't have quorum, the business doesn't happen. And it can be very detrimental to helping our families get what they need when you have to wait 30 more days to come to a meeting to make a decision. And so as you think about this council, I just want to make sure that is the most important thing at the forefront, because we hope as a council to really do the work and not just show up to a meeting, but we can't do the work without all of us showing up. And so it's important that we understand that we each are needed to be here to make this a successful council. And we do understand that life happens, but we know that if we're going to get the work done, we have to know that whether we're in Staten Island or Brooklyn or here at Tweed, that our presence is very much needed. And so that's the only thing I would like to share with all the candidates. You don't have to answer me, but I just wanted to drive that home. Is there anything else you would like to share with us? Or does anyone have any questions for us?
I have a question, but the more will take time, the more will take questions, but I'm gonna ask you this, and I will ask the other candidates. As John mentioned before, we have over 185,000 students in the system who are. If you are a limited city council, what would be the interest of representing this population?
The boys for children's coming out. That, and he says, oh, that's it, I'm a prime member. I'm a prime member to the DOE and I'm serving to the DOE as well. So, relevant experience, especially needs.
Thank you. Okay. So I guess you can introduce yourself. Is there something you want to share with us and the public about who you are and why you have elected to apply for it?
Good evening, my name is Lisa Hernandez. I am a parent of a rising fifth grader who is on the autism spectrum. I was very happy to hear that there are some vacancies here on the City Planning Council of Special Education. Just given the opportunity of working with you in these past 2 years as a CCSE2 appointee, I think that the work that you guys are doing is very important. I found that even when I was a council member on my district, that I chaired the Students with Disabilities Committee. I am a staunch busing advocate, and I also am very engaged in community engagements with our students in temporary housing and being able to provide supports as well as a voice and helping other parents navigate this very complicated system. I hope to be able to actually get some great work done. I think that you guys have always been very collaborative and listen to the community and give the opportunity for the communities to be able to tell us their feedback. And on top of that, work within the DOE to make meaningful change for the students. Some of our most vulnerable students at that. So I thank you for this opportunity and consideration, and hope that I can help you guys move forward and get some more done.
So do any council member have questions?
Maybe we should just post the same question.
No. Well, aside from busing, but I know we have a really strong busing advocacy here on this council. I think what I can bring is some insight on serving our population that is in temporary housing as well as foster care. I am currently one of the mayoral appointees on the task force that is addressing transportation for this population. And I would love to be able to bring some of those recommendations and more insight on the community and what they would need to help all the way around. So thank you.
Mark?
Hi, everybody. Mark Gonsalves. Pleasure to see you all. I'm a parent with 2 children with IEPs, a rising middle schooler with speech and language delays, and a rising freshman in high school who's on the autism spectrum and actually attends an E53 school because the DOE did not have any programs, unfortunately, for him throughout the city. So he's going to be doing about an hour and a half each way on the bus for his program, where my middle schooler will luckily get to walk 5 blocks to his middle school. So a little contrast. The current 13-year-old, though, the older one, I mean, he's been busing since he's been 2, so this is nothing new for him with busing. So, thank goodness. But look, I'll tell you, I'm scared of the whole busing situation. We've seen strikes in the past. We've seen how it goes. My son went without a bus driver this past year for a month. Unfortunately, The bus driver passed away. They tried to merge routes, didn't work. I ended up taking him for a month and picking him up. And, I was in a privileged situation where I could, thank goodness. But we know how rough busing can be. And to see, we've got, 100,000 kids throughout the city plus who may be without busing in the next month, scares the bejeebus out of me, because most of our parents are not in a privileged situation where they can take their kids to school. So rideshare is nice, but it's not real for so many parents. Taking them to school is great if they can do it, but so many of our parents have to actually work. And so they don't have the time to drop them off in the morning and pick them up in the evening. There's a lot of options, but most of them are not good. And the Metro card is great now at the beginning. You have to have, in most cases, a parent, a family member, someone who can take them to school and pick up. It's not that easy as it sounds. So what interests me? Why am I here? I'll start where I came from. I am currently a CEC 3 member. I be co-chair of that and first VP. Prior I was CCSE for a bit, and then before that CEC 3 in prior term. Before that, PTA president at our local elementary school for 2 years. And before that, as PA president for 2 years at my older son's 853 prior 853 school. I am still a trustee at this former school, where I'll be starting my 6 years as a trustee at that 853 school. And why am I doing this? Because I care. I care for all those kids. So do I have an agenda or any specific thing I want to focus on? Yeah, I want to focus on the 100,000 students, 185,000 students and their families, and the teachers and the support staff and the administrators who need the support that we are able to provide. And it's all of them, because they all need our support, they all need our help. And we're living through it as parents and guardians and family members. And we need to be able to share. I want to be able to continue to share. Right now, I'm able to share in D3 and help those families, but I want to continue to be able to share citywide. And I will continue going up to Albany, be it in person or Zoom, to fight for special education issues as well, because it's important. And so I think that's what I'm about. It's helping our 185,000 students and families and all the support that they need.
So Mark, I have a question for you, because you said you are a member of CEC 3 and you are the IEP person and currently the VP. We are a citywide council, and so oftentimes people who apply for councils are people who are not sitting currently with the councilman. So if I could be double advocate, because I know there are parents in the audience want to know, well, if you already sit on a council, why would he want to change to this council? And what is the significance? And we know that there is, but I just would like you to maybe share a little bit of that with families on why are you choosing to leave one council to come here and serve? And what would that impact mean for you?
Yeah, I think the issue to me is D3 has got about 11,000 total students, right? A little over 2,200 students with IEPs. Citywide, we're talking, almost 1 million students. We're talking 185,000 students with IEPs, right? It's about helping the city, helping our larger community. I love helping D3, but I want to be able to help our larger community. My son will be going out to, my older son will be coming out to Queens. I don't care about just D3, I care about Queens, I care about Brooklyn, I care about Bronx, Staten Island, Manhattan with my other one. It's about the 5 boroughs and helping raise the level and raise the support for all 185,000 students and families.
Thank you. You answered my question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maggie's online. Maggie, can you unmute yourself?
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Maggie Sanchez. First, I want to thank you all for this opportunity. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a bilingual a family advocate and an 853 parent. My son attends a state-approved nonprofit program. He is autistic, and I also do have a family, a loved one who has disabilities as well. Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened.
That's for everyone to see you, Maggie. I apologize.
Okay, thank you. So my family used to be a family in temporary housing, so I know what that experience is like. Uh, with a child with disabilities, and I know how inaccessible that can be. I'm also an intimate partner violence survivor. And as a Latinx dreamer, I have lived experience with struggles that many families within the special education system face, particularly those that may not speak the language, that their native language may be, Spanish or, many other languages here in New York. I know firsthand how that could be a struggle, especially if you don't receive the information in your native language. I advocate strongly for families like me and my son. And I strongly advocate for an equitable and inclusive education system. I've seen how without the appropriate supports and services, it can lead to a mental health decline. I've seen that firsthand with my loved one. And so I know how critical and important receiving the services that each student needs is for their ongoing mental health and physical health and their education. So my vision is reflected by my work as a class representative and committee member at my son's previous 853 program. And it is also reflected through my work with the Arise Coalition, through my volunteer, and also through my volunteer work in my independent diverse group, Protect Special Education, Protect NYC Special Education, proteger la educación especial de la ciudad de Nueva York. My advocacy work, again, focuses on students and their families receiving equitable access to special education information in various languages, and also, very important, accessibility formats. And so I also am part of Medicaid Matters New York. I'm a steering committee member, and this has enabled me to connect and to engage as well as advocate for Medicaid beneficiaries, and have us represented in meetings with legislators and other entities. So I really would like to thank you all. Again, I do want to emphasize another thing is I've also my thinking is that self-advocates also need a stronger voice at the table whenever there's decisions made about them. So that's another focus of mine, and also to have a diverse community. So diverse group of people, doing the advocacy work, which we have here. So again, I want to thank you, and I'm ready to work with all families and students with disabilities.
Well, thank you, Maggie. I would like to thank each of the candidates for their candidate remarks and comments. I don't know if anyone had a question for Maggie. Any other questions before we close it out?
No, I think she answered everything.
Thank you, Maggie. We really appreciate it. So the normal process is we as a council will then come together and have a conversation and then pose a vote, I guess, at our next meeting. Or we're gonna.
So we should talk about this, we checked the bylaws and we don't have to vote, and I think we can have a special meeting.
Okay,
Normally we have a special meeting.
well, the issue is we don't have quorum, right?
Yeah, but
So
I think this is exempt from that, maybe we could find some, but because the reason we don't have quorum is because we need the members, I don't think we need quorum to vote in that, we just need our vote majority, is that true? No, we need quorum.
we need quorum, that's what I mean.
But how do we do that if we don't have a quorum?
So we actually have enough members to have quorum. Unfortunately, they're not here today. But that's why I stated that at our next meeting, we would be able to then vote on who we're going to pick. and then present that person. So I guess those members would have to come to our next meeting. Because my understanding whenever we had to vote is that you need to have quorum to do that, and so.
So I'm just curious, just from as a point of protocol, what do you do on a council like CCD 75 where they really don't have, they have to be members right now?
DOE will appoint someone, I believe, from their office, that would
We are in a situation that the chancellor.
appoint.
Yeah. Will appoint us, and then it will go there. Please,
Okay, and then
I'm the council, the permanent, we generally just vote this.
thank you. Also, I just want to say, we can call a special meeting.
Yeah, no,
So we can do that before the next meeting so that we can have those members as full members.
yes, Francine, I agree, but one of the issues with this council, and I'm just gonna be transparent. We have people who don't show up, we cannot have a special meeting, from my understanding, to vote a member on, we have to be in person, it can't be virtual. So if we call the special meeting for voting processes, from my understanding on councils. It had to be a vote, you had to have a voice vote or a vote in person. Right, and so if we can't even get people to come to our calendar meeting or our business meeting for us to do the work. I don't know, calling a special meeting, one, posing where will we have it, right? We would have to find a space to have it, and two, will members show up? So we'll find ourselves in the same situation. So when I said maybe at the next meeting, we can do the vote then, the hope is by then we would have whoever is going to be our PA appointees. I know we only have one, hopefully we can get another one. And then my hope is that we would have 6 people so that we could then do that. But to call a special meeting where I don't personally feel that people are going to show up, and I don't know that we have a space to do it in. That's one of the reasons why I didn't say a special meeting. Well, I know we could do that, I just don't think it is the most conducive. But if you guys feel like you're available and able to come in with the start of school starting in less than 3 weeks, and I know that people are getting their own families ready, their own kids, things like that. I just don't, I'm just a pessimist about it right now. But if you think we can pull it off and get 6 people together for a special meeting, Rose, is there a space that we can have it?
We can currently have it at Tweed, but again, I agree with you. We need to be able to have these members commit to being at the special meeting.
If I can't get them to commit to a calendar meeting, I don't know how we're gonna get them to commit.
I think
to a
that's a
special.
concern, and it's a valid point that you raised, that I think that's a concern that Francine and share is that our meeting in September. I'm sorry, it wasn't in the meeting. Our meeting in September is a combined meeting, so that pushes it to the end of September, which means business would actually be in October. So.
That, well, that,
Could have a special election, a special election meeting like 30 minutes before the general meeting.
right,
Oh, that makes sense.
This way you already have the bodies in place, then they can be in place for the meeting. So let's say the conversation started at 6 for the special meeting, vote them in, then they can be present for 6:30 for the meeting, and you want to push.
Oh, perfect.
and the other thing I wanna say is that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
He was saying that we can post a special meeting at 5:30 on the same day of our meeting in September, but bigger than that, I wanted to say, even if that's the case, we have 3 members who are virtual right now, that are not here. The hope is that their bodies would be in the room in September, and we would have quorum, whether we voted them on or not. So for me, I just feel like we have to try to create a space where we can do what we need to do. People need to show up to these meetings. And while I am pressed to vote the new members who've applied on, that subsequently should not affect what we do in September. If the members who are currently members on this council show up, we should be able to serve. And do what we need to do. And so I don't think having a special meeting, we could barely get them to come to a calendar meeting. Having the special meeting right before our meeting, I think is a good thing that we can do. But the reality is to pick another day to have a meeting. it's the availability is gonna be a problem, I believe. At least I know for myself. I don't know about any other member, but if that's what you guys wanna do, we can organize it to do that if we wanna have a meeting beforehand.
I think if we can agree, it would be, I just wanna highlight that it would be 5:30 in September, because we don't have, no, we don't have quorum to change the time for next month's meeting. So it would have to be 5:30.
I mean, that's fine. I don't have an issue with holding a special meeting for 5:30. For our September meeting to vote on the member. Now, the other question is, usually we go into executive session for that meeting. It's not something that the decision is done publicly. Am I correct?
I'm sorry, the voting has to be public.
No, but we usually meet a few minutes before to decide. After we have the interview, the last time we did it, we usually meet, we talk about the council, come together and talk about the interviews that we had, and then we come back out and we vote.
In the past, we have had a special meeting to do interviews in an executive session. It's a public meeting, go into executive session, we interview the candidates. And then we have a special, we did this a little differently this time because we just had the candidates do their statements, so we sort of eliminated the executive session part, and we did it publicly.
Right, I know that, but normally the council would have a conversation still,
Right,
right,
so-
to decide. So I'm saying for that conversation, we normally will go into executive session, even if it's for a few seconds or 15 minutes or whatever, before we then come back out and vote. I'm just making sure that is still the expectation here, or are we just going to come at 5:30, start a special meeting, vote?
I think we should.
So how do you want them just offering you some deadlines? So, and you're reviewing the next.
I'm sorry, okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. So as you said, generally a special meeting is then, which is public, also to engage with your candidate, then they're being voted into the public. You do not have to go into an executive session because honestly, you don't have to just think like that. You don't have to convince each other of, how you feel about the candidate. In the end, it's how you vote, and the vote will be public. It's up to you if you want to discuss something that is perfect. It's kind of public, yeah. But an executive session is not absolutely necessary for this process. You can not the interview. This is what you normally do at a session. Especially if you are looking for a special meeting again, to your next round of meeting. Voting on the vacancy on your agenda. Get it done in 2 minutes. Deliberations are not necessary. And you don't need to come to an agreement. It's kind of against the idea of a meeting. You only do come to an agreement and then come into a private meeting, then come into the public to show. You each individually vote either.
So,
That's up to you. I'm just.
So, Diana, I agree with you. I was assuming that the reason Francine or Carolyn said we would have a special meeting is because there was something to discuss. Because if it's no reason to discuss, that's why I originally stated at our next meeting, we would then take the vote because we need to have quorum to vote. But I thought the special meeting was being called or asked about because maybe there was some conversation we wanted to
The
have.
issue is what Karen brought up, which is that to get off the ground as quickly as possible. And so to vote, what I want to know is how, if we, just what Karen said, if we vote them in at a calendar meeting in September, and then that's when they're being voted in, and then we don't have a full council until October. But I want to know how.
No, they start immediately, am I correct?
Correct. Yeah, so.
That's just not how, I don't know.
Oh, well, the rules say that when you vote a member in, once you vote them in, they sit down and start to work.
Right, yes.
Okay, I think
That's their first agenda item in the first 2 minutes, and then they're active, then yes, so as long as you have a quorum, that's the first thing that you do.
Yeah.
then you.
That's the way I always.
I'm not, it's very long process with my usually, and we check the bylaws and we don't see anything. That's why
That's not how it goes. So that's why I stated earlier that at our next meeting, we would vote, we would conduct the vote because we didn't have quorum tonight. If we had quorum tonight, we would conduct the vote now for those persons who came, so.
And yeah, just like, thank you for, you know, I tried to go to this meeting, but, the dynamics for this, so we really want to encourage. You to like members and do that full council and we go ahead. And yes, there is a small kind of administrative issue of the odds. So I probably remember starting like the best to come to the next meeting and now let's see if we can make some. You know, I remember some pros the old form, maybe you can print it and then on the notary there, the notarize the codes next so that the new members can also vote in whatever else.
That sounds great. All right, do we have any other questions? So we will at our next meeting, vote on the new members. Francine, can you mention the vacancy again, so we can just let people know there's another vacancy?
So we have a member who was unable to attend the meetings in person, so we have an additional vacancy to the two that were previously announced for a full CCSE member, and we still need applicants for the CCHS appointee application. So please spread the word on that. I just want to point out, it was pointed out to me that the link, the DOE link where you go and it says, you know, apply to vacancies on the council, that link was not working as of yesterday. It may be fixed now, but somebody tried to access the CCHS application and was unable to get through, so they directly, but so if you do have a problem accessing the link, please email the CCSE inbox and we can get the application to you. Otherwise, we have to go to the DOE CEC information site and there should be a list of vacancies. But we are not listed as having no vacancies, that was in check. We are listed as having, if you go to that, I apologize. If you go to the link to get the vacancies, the CCSE is currently listed as having no vacancies. And so that's why people can't access.
Yes, I don't know, do we fix that or do we fix that? Is that out? I don't know. Okay, so maybe you guys can work on that and fix that for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, there are, as far as councils listed as having no vacancies, when in fact we have 3 vacancies.
Yes, okay, I fix that.
Okay, if we have no other questions, I'm gonna open it up for public comment. Does anyone have any questions or concerns that they would like to share with the council at this time? Anyone in the audience here have any questions or concerns they would like to share?
If I may. It's Maggie Sanchez. I wanted to just ask really quickly if we would, if I as a candidate would have to go to the other meeting, attend the other meeting, how would that work? Just to find out the votes and stuff.
So all the candidates we presented tonight will have to show up to our September meeting. Unfortunately, because we don't have quorum tonight, we cannot take a vote. But our hope is that our next meeting, we will have 6 persons in person that we will be able to then vote and conduct business. So in order to find out if you are selected, I mean, in real time, you would have to really show up to the meeting for us to be able to, for you to find out who is actually being elected to the council.
I have a question, which is that I believe there was at least one other candidate who had intended to come and was one did not come. So is this the only chance that candidates have to make a statement for their application? Because we do have other people who apply.
Well, I think the answer to that is that they will all, Rose, correct me if I'm wrong, but they will all reach out to.
Right, but
Can I say something?
We've never done this like this before.
Can I say, yeah, the statement thing is something new that came out of left field for me as well. But Earlier in the week, when I said that you can actually start your interviewing process now, you wanted to wait until the deadline, which is next Friday, 25th.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to continue to wait for that deadline in case you get more applicants in, or you want to close it out.
Well, the issue is we do not have quorum tonight. We can't place a vote or do anything.
Well, no, not placing the vote.
No, I'm just saying, we can't place a vote anyway, so if there are other applicants who come in between now and that time, we can still do an interview, we don't have to do an interview, we're just doing interviews here. Because we just chose to do it different and we had a public meeting, but we can still do interviews as a special meeting the way we did before. Those interviews do not have to be physically, we can do them virtually. So we can still schedule a virtual meeting if more applicants come in, because you just announced another seat anyway. So at this point, we can, it's still open. If we get more applicants, we can plan and we can send an email around to us to set up a virtual meeting to interview those additional candidates. And then at the time of our next meeting, we can then just let the public know that there was additional candidates, they were interviewed, and then we can just give everyone's name and then vote on it. The bottom, we have chose as a council this time to allow the public to be a part of the process, but it's not something that is mandated that the public be a part of the process when you interview your candidates. Only when you vote does the public have to be a part of that. At least that's my understanding, am I correct? Yes. Okay.
And do special meetings always have to be in person, because it does not?
Yeah,
So that's
just all of that, it's.
So if we have an interview for people, it doesn't always have to be 6 people. It could be 4 or 5 people doing the interview. If everyone shows up and it's 6 people, then it has to be public. But if it's
And it has to be in
a
person.
few of us doing the interviews, the way they did before, it was a committee of a few people doing the interviews. It can be virtually. We can still make it public, it can be virtual, and people can come online if we choose to have it, but I'm saying it doesn't have to be in person. Unless y'all have a.
Because you're not voting on it. That's
Because we're not voting on anything, we're just meeting to have an interview. The voting has to be in person, so we can have it virtually. So I guess we can, if there are other applicants' roles, as you have emailed it to us before, and then we as a council can just email across to each other and decide what day we want to do virtually or ask those candidates when they're available to meet with us, and then we can send a notice out. And if people want to join us to listen in, we can still do the interviews that way.
I just need to confirm something also. All candidates in person there and remotely, they need to be in person at the September 20th meeting. That's our next meeting, correct? They need to be in person? Okay, yes.
Okay, if we have no other questions, are there any questions in the chat? Because I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see. No. Okay, I guess we would like to close the meeting. We want to thank everyone for coming out. Have a great night, and we look forward to seeing you in September. Is there any last things that we want to share? Any member want to share with the public? Well, thank you all. Have a great night, and we look forward to seeing you in September.
Thank you.
Good night.
So I apologize for.
Who ended the meeting? Why y'all got end the meeting?